Hello there, my friend, and welcome to the Disney Travel Secrets show / podcast / YouTube channel. Please go to YouTube. I think that covers it. Rob and Kerri here, coming to you from the CMV studio in beautiful Orlando, Florida. You're listening to episode number 431 with an original air date of May 19th, 2025.
And this week's topic is a really fun one for sure, especially during the Christmas holiday season, and that is resort hopping.
And you don't even have to be staying at a Disney property to do it.
Take it away, Hugh.
Hello, my friends. This is former Disney Imagineer Hugh Darly, and you're listening to Disney Travel Secrets with my friends Rob and Kerri Stuart. As you can imagine, I have plenty of Disney secrets myself, and I can't wait to share them with you. Let's get this show on the road. Take it away, guys.
Thanks again, Hugh. And speaking of him, we have not seen him really since the first time we met him back in October of 2023. However, we are planning to have lunch with him this week because we're talking about some other projects to work on.
Yeah, so he is working with us on our pickleball division, Luxury Pickleball Escapes with Sandals Resorts. And we're starting with the South Coast Resort in Jamaica. And Hugh is going to be doing some really special tours for our guests that are staying there. Super excited about it.
Here's a little background about Hugh Darly. If you didn't know, so he worked for Disney at Epcot specifically before it opened on the design and the area development of the Canada Pavilion, the UK Pavilion, also the American Adventure.
That's a lot of them, right?
It is, I know.
And then later on, he and his company, Idea, I know, isn't that like the perfect name? And they were involved in the development of cruise ports, such as the historic Falmouth Port in Jamaica, Harvest Cay in Belize, both of which have been featured on Disney Cruise Line itineraries, by the way.
Yes. Okay, so back to the story. We met Hugh in October of 2023 at an event called Retro WDW. And that is put on about every other year. In this case, it'll be 2 years by the Lake Buena Vista Historical Society. By the way, later this year in September is their next event. So this time it's going to be at the Coronado Resort. If you are interested, go to retromagic.net.
And this was a really, really great event, specifically about the early history of Epcot. So we stayed on property at Yacht Club because we were also there for our anniversary.
We were. And as we were leaving that Sunday to come back home, we drove through the portico and I saw Hugh talking to someone by his truck. So, of course, I stopped to say hi.
Of course.
That is so Rob.
But it was so fun, though. We look over it and it looked like he was selling some artwork out of the back of his truck, right?
He was, and he reminded me of that when we talked about, well, we started another conversation about 2 weeks ago, and I think we both started laughing about that. So we exchanged information that day, and he became one of the voices of the DTS intro along with our friend Flash.
And we did intend to work with him on some Jamaican tours and some of those like from the Sandals Resorts. And our schedules just never synced up until now. Because he has spent so much time in Jamaica, they call him Jamaican.
And he must really love it because he just told me that he now lives in Montego Bay. So as we were talking, I mentioned to him that we played pickleball together for the first time at our club. And we mentioned where we live. And he said, wait a minute. My brother lives next to you in the community next to you. As a matter of fact, I'll be up there next week to dog sit for him while he's traveling. I said, great, let's go to lunch while you're here. So we were very excited to know that he was going to be coming up into town. Now, as of this recording, it's funny, we're recording this on a Tuesday. His flight is going to land in about an hour or so. He's going to come to the club. We're going to hang out. We're doing lunch tomorrow.
So now while we haven't had our lunch yet with Hugh, apparently we are going to be going to happy hour with him tonight. That was like a last minute thing.
It is, but no, it's right after we're actually, after we're done recording this. And okay. Hugh's texting me right now. Just landed. We'll text you when I'm in Windermere. Again, this is the stuff you only see live if you're watching us on YouTube. And for the love of Walt and Mickey, just please go follow us on YouTube. We would really like to have some more of you watching us. So we can't wait to share more Hugh stories, including the fact that he invented the Mickey bar. And I know there has to be a great story behind that, which we will find out very soon.
Super excited about that.
Before we go on to the main topic, as I was just texting Hugh because he's landing now, we're both wearing some Folds of Honor gear. And you can see Kerri here wearing the CMV Heroes Project shirt. I'm wearing the official Folds of Honor shirt that they sent us for being part of their team. And we have some very exciting news is that the official Folds of Honor hats, as you can see here. If you're watching us on YouTube, hint, hint. On the side, it says the CMV Heroes Project. This logo here is a rubber logo, and then we have the American flag there. These are now for sale right now. All of the profit goes to Folds of Honor. You can find these on travelfanstore.com. Please go there and check it out. They are in stock and ready to ship.
Yeah, so there will be a link in the show description. So just go down there, click, support a good cause. And on to our main topic.
Yes, we're here now.
And that is resort hopping at Disney World, which many people may not know that you can do that.
Well, and you don't even have to be staying on property to do it. I will say it does make it a whole lot easier and more convenient, but we do have one caveat. You cannot pool hop. You can't go pool hopping. The pools are specifically for guests that are staying at that specific Disney resort.
And if something like this sounds fun, a great time to do this is around Easter, because they do decorations, they have the eggs, but the best time is going to be during the Christmas holidays. And that usually starts, like the decorations, about the week before Thanksgiving in full swing.
And I'll say we really don't do it as much now as we did in the past, because we live here next to Disney, but we do visit some of the resorts to grab something to eat or drink. So here are a few of our favorites.
So number one, well, it used to be, is Tambu Lounge over at Poly for the noodles. But the last time we were there, the service, they were like, I think just really overwhelmed, and the noodles came out cold and dried. And they were so bad and they knew that they comped all the food. It's like they knew that they were overwhelmed. I was disappointed though. So You know what? They're going to save me a ton of money from that mistake.
Yeah. We're just telling you this so you know, not a big deal. We're not putting this on social media like a lot of people would. We'll give them another chance. Disney's making changes all the time, and there's a lot of different places we go to. We're like, oh my gosh, well, you used to have this, but you don't. We get over it. So based on that, here's something we totally miss. And that was the bottomless mimosas for breakfast at Steakhouse 71 in Contemporary. However, their steak and eggs breakfast is still, I think, one of the best options. You get like a 4-ounce filet, eggs your way, potatoes. And now I'm hungry, and it's not even breakfast, but I do want to go back over there soon.
Yeah, well, and it was definitely super busy over this weekend at Contemporary because of Mother's Day. A lot of locals were headed over there. So one of the things, and I think we learned this about Tambu Lounge, is don't go right before it's going to open for the food, which starts serving at 4. Because I think that's why they were overwhelmed, because so many people. Let them get in their mode.
Rhythm. Let them get into the
and get
rhythm
rid of the cold
night.
noodles off top first. And Okay, so over at Riviera, we really enjoy a stop at Bar Riva. So if you're at Epcot or Hollywood Studios, you can only get there on the Skyliner. And don't think that you can just Uber over to this resort, because they don't take reservations, meaning that you can't be dropped off there saying, I'm going to be going to Bar Riva. The only reservation you can do is either your resort or if you have one for Topolino's.
And talking about specifically Riviera, we had gone over there to meet some clients who were staying there. It was about 1 o'clock, but they had checked out at 11. And they're like, sorry, they've checked out. I'm like, yeah, I know. We're going to come pick them up. They're still here. They have not left the property. And they'd said they left the property. And when they were coming back, they're like, oh, sorry, you already checked out. Yeah, my luggage is still here. So I get it. Some people are going to try to park it, whether it's CBR, Riviera, Contemporary specifically. I get it. But if you like, well, here's the valid reservation. Come on, guys. You do not need to be carry cop. There's a reason for that. But again, if people have a valid reason to be there, but do not try to just go park those places or to get dropped off Uber. It will not work.
Correct.
Now, you can take the bus there from Animal Kingdom or Magic Kingdom. But next on the list, one of my favorites, beignets over at Port Orleans French Quarter. So another great option is in that area specifically is you can go see Yeehaw Bob over at Riverside, who
he's great.
We're going to be working with him in the near future. I can't tell you why, but I reached out to him. I said, we should work on this project. He said, absolutely, we should. So some of the resorts are almost impossible to park at, but Riverside is not one of them. If Bob is playing that night, just say, I'm here to see Bob. Matter of fact, one time I remember we were going through the guard gate. I'm like, yeah, we're just here to see, Yeehaw Bob. He's like, oh, did you know he was right in front of you? I'm like, of course I did. I did.
Now, here are some tips for visiting multiple resorts kind of back to back. And I think a lot of people will do this like a monorail crawl or the Skyliner. And in fact, our friend Brian is going to be celebrating his 60th birthday at the end of June.
So we will be doing that crawl.
This is exactly, that's what he wants to do.
We're going to do the World Showcase.
No, we're not doing World Showcase. We're doing monorail.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
My bad. We'll do that over here. Okay. So here's some tips.
That is one of the things, though, is that you can take the monorail from Epcot to Magic Kingdom, and then you can visit Contemporary, Polynesian, Grand Floridian, and if you really want to, head on over to Wilderness Lodge. That's the bonus one.
I love Wilderness Lodge. Or you can do a Skyliner tour to Yacht and Beach and also Boardwalk. And this can also include Riviera and Caribbean Beach Resort. We call it CBR because it's a long name.
Yeah, but don't automatically skip Pop Century and Art Animation. The Cars area at Art Animation, I think, is worth it to go over there and just check it out. It's so cute, so well done.
I know, and just walking around the path at Pop Century is a blast. If you love trivia from the 1950s through the 90s like we do.
Yeah, that's a really fun walk because they have signs on the side of the paths as you walk around with little trivia based on which sections you're in. And so it is very, very cool. So if you have a non-park day and you don't want to go to Disney Springs, but maybe you do want to go check out whether it's some food, some drinks at the different resorts, consider doing resort hopping just to go and check them out. The one I wouldn't necessarily go over and hop to is the All-Stars. But I mean, if you have little kids and they're into Andy's backyard or Andy's bedroom, that is over there. Animal Kingdom Lodge is a really, really great one. I do recommend if you go there, make a dining reservation. This one is far. Most people, if they don't have a car, they're going to Uber. But getting around is super, super easy once you are in the bubble. But on your next trip, try it out and report back to us on what you did for your self-guided resort tour.
And you know that if she wants to go to Animal Kingdom, we're going to Sanaa for the bread service. Again, something we've been doing. I think we first had this like 8 years ago, and we've had it a whole lot of time.
Yeah, super fun though. There's always so much to see at Disney.
So now it's time for another Are You Serious?
And okay, this one is specifically about Riviera Resort and something that is prohibited, but guests did it anyway.
So the surprising thing to me was the number of people defending what happened, and to me it's indefensible.
Well, they clearly have never stayed there.
Okay, so here's the deal. It was people that were hanging their wet towels over the railings, and again, I looked at the picture, I kind of zoomed in, like, these are not the room towels, these are the beach towels, which you can clearly leave down by the pool. And the sane people were saying it's against the rules, which it is. But one person compared it to spring break in the Panhandle and was like defending it. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This is not a, not to use a brand, but it's not Motel 5, in the Panhandle up there in Destin or Daytona, wherever they do spring breaks. This is a deluxe resort. And you just don't do that. But the people are like, oh my gosh, it's first world problems. You just don't get it. First of all, it's a safety issue because those things could blow off.
Exactly.
And land on a small child, or it could land on maybe an alligator that's by the water. You don't want either a human problem or an animal problem.
Yeah, well, and we've seen this before. I remember one time we were walking by Grand Floridian and somebody had all of their towels. Now, these were different towels. They weren't the hotel ones.
They were like the beach towels they
brought their own. And then, of course, here's what happens. When one person does it, everybody else thinks they should do it. And so if you ever check in, especially when you're there this summer, then you can maybe see a sign that will say, do not hang your towels outside. The other thing is, don't put your swimsuits out there. There's a drying hook that's in your bathroom.
It's sad that they have to have signage saying, by the way, don't do this stuff you do at home. This is not your home. You're at a nice deluxe resort.
And don't do it at the Values, and don't do it at the Moderates.
Don't do it anywhere at Disney. That's it.
Yeah.
We were staying at Pop Century one time, and someone took like all the towels and their swimsuits out of their room and hung it on the railing. How this one's different is at Pop Century, if you don't know, it's an outside hallway.
And it's not even your balcony.
Right, so they weren't putting this on their balcony. They were like putting this on a railing going, oh, I'll just dry all these out. Guys, don't do this. We all pay for our vacations. We all want them to be nice. Don't Okay, I'm not going to say this because that'll piss a lot of people off, but don't do that.
Yeah, but one of the things, though, is you can get fresh towels down by the pool. And if you go to the water parks, you can get towels there also. Yeah. So use those, dump the wet ones in the wet stash, and then you can have a nice dry. Yeah, you don't. So that's kind of our little tip there. But if you do want to wear a towel, go back up to your room, switch it out for one that's a little more dry, and then you can just set it out, call mousekeeping if you don't want it in your room, and they will come and pick it up.
And that is this week's Are You Serious? Also, a big Disney announcement. Don't forget to grab your Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party tickets. If you are one of our clients, we've already reached out. If you'd like to get some through us or one of our agents, please reach out to us.
And next week, we are going to be sharing tips on how to do Disney Springs and including some places that you probably didn't even know about and some areas that we recommend you avoid.
Wait, there are shady areas at Disney Springs?
I didn't say shady. I just said ones you want to avoid. Very different.
Again, thanks for listening, or please, thank you for watching. Until next time, have a magical day.
We hope to see you real soon.